Welcome back, everybody, to a Tuesday night live stream. That damn baseball show is back. It is me, Jim from BALLCAP Sports, and Adam from Blue Jays today. No Nick today. How are you doing, Adam? Holding down the fort over there.
I'm doing good, Jim. It's always good to be back on a Tuesday, especially on Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Where your boy had no dates lined up, but we are here.
You're stuck with me.
With you.
You're stuck with me. Exactly.
Exactly. And of course, all of y'all in the chat. So I appreciate y'all. If you guys are tuning in, we really appreciate you. Love all y'all on this special Valentine's Day. And we'd appreciate it as well if you guys smash that like, hit that subscribe button for the boys going live tonight. Jim, how about yourself? How are you doing today?
I am good. I am just feeling a lot more lift and life with baseball feeling back. I mean, it's back. Like real games, all that stuff, that's not back. But the activity, the life to your timelines on social media with
all
teams
the highlights,
players, it's all over the place right now. And that just it's motivating as a content creator, as a baseball fan, as everything. I love it. I absolutely love that we're at that point now.
Yeah, I agree. I loved watching just bullpen sessions. It's always so funny. I couldn't care less about bullpen sessions middle of June, but here, man, I can watch them all.
Indeed, right now, yes. Let's get into this thing. Those of you watching the replay want to get moving for you all right away. Those of you that are with us live, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for making an appointment to hang out with us on Tuesday night. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. We are going to get into our top story, and that is the Ronald Acuna situation, because it's kind of funny. Rarely does nothing happen, really, but at the same time, everything seems to be happening around Ronald Acuna Jr. Now, for some context, for some backstory, this offseason, I was out there with a report that fired a lot of people up, and whether you believed it or didn't believe it, that's your own thing. But that the Braves internally, with a ton of pushback, we're considering a Ronald Acuna trade. And that source that gave me that information also told me that Matt Olson was going to be traded for during in the middle of the lockout, told me this was going to happen. Also told me that the Braves were working on a trade right before the Sean Murphy trade. And listen, that Acuna piece that I put out, the whole really driving force for that was his frustration with the contract, seeing how much money Austin Riley got, seeing the money that's getting thrown around, and now all of a sudden he's fallen down that ranking. So there was trouble. What happened shortly after that? He fires his agent. So everything that this source has given me told me something, and then shortly after, something related followed up. So that's just to kind of tie all those loose ends to anybody that wants to believe or not believe what I had. But most recently, we had Twitter activity, not from me this time, but from some other accounts that we won't dig into. None of them verified, none of them that we would consider highly source worthy, saying that Ronald Acuna Jr. flat out was requesting a trade, which kind of came out of left field. We know we know that the Braves, the word was out that they don't want him in the WBC, but he's in the WBC now. And that was, I think, really the driving force for wherever the information these guys thought were coming from. But Ronald himself responding to this account, George, we won't go into the last name. We'll just say George. I know you can read it, but maybe you're just listening.
Or Jorge.
Good point. Yeah, it's a very good point. Where Jorge was talking about Ronald Acuna had requested a trade, and Ronald responding, my brother, you don't have anyone to entertain yourself with. Do you create Twitter for that? Giving false information. Start doing your homework. Start exercising your mind. I'm calm here with my team. Stop publishing gaffes. Ronald coming right out saying there is no trade request. And anybody interested in my source and all that stuff, again, tying it back, I put out the day before Ronald came out with that tweet that Ronald had not requested my source, because when I heard it, I went to my source, and my source said, no, Ronald has not requested a trade. So I tweeted out that Ronald had not requested a trade, and then Ronald sort of back that up the next day. So
Yeah.
all seems to be the dust settling with Ronald. And most importantly, and this is where I want to get your comment on the whole situation, Adam. My guy's there early, a week before it really gets going. And I know he's going to be a part of WBC, but he's a week early. He's motivated. Does anything strike more fear into an opponent's heart than Ronald Acuna Jr. is early and motivated to have a phenomenal season this year?
Of course. I mean, like, obviously, Ronald Acuna Jr., I think first of all, he needs to be showing up early. He needs to put up a good season. I mean, look, Ronald Acuna Jr., besides all the rumors, and let's put that all aside right now. Let's focus on Ronald Acuna Jr. Yeah, like, he is a little bit underpaid. $17 million a year.
Very
severely underpaid for a superstar talent of Ronald Acuna Jr.'s level. But if you just look at the last 3 years, look, he's run into a few injuries, right? And the OPS last year, and he was healthy for probably one of his more healthier seasons since 2019. And he wasn't putting up this superstar level of production and slash line that you want to see.
He wasn't right last year. He was not right.
He wasn't.
Watching the games, watching him in the outfield, I mean, that was not the Ronald Acuna we were used to. I'm hopeful we'll see that in 2023.
So my point being is this guy needs to show up early, not only just to prove everyone wrong that, look, me and the Braves were good, but I got to prove it to myself on the field that I got to show up healthy. I got to show up ready to go. Like, because this is the season. If there is ever going to be a trade, let's just say there is maybe some truth to a trade possibly happening with Ronald Acuna Jr., you have to give AA a reason to trade him, because right now his value is pretty low coming off of his last year. Yeah. You'd much rather keep the superstar talent at a $17 million per year and hope that he's going to break out. Right? You want to keep him at that level. You want to keep him rather than sell him low right now. You don't want to sell him low, so you want to have him actually put up. If you were going to do it, not saying it's going to happen, you want to keep him, have him put up a good year. And I think Ronald wants to do that for himself anyways.
Yeah, I think the trade speculation has to be put to bed, obviously, from Ronald's side. And from the Braves side, one of the rewards for signing these early contracts is that the Braves organization sort of promises that they won't trade you. That kind of goes hand in hand with those situations. But I mean, if you're becoming a problem in the clubhouse, that's going to be an exception to that rule. But what I have heard from the source, again, that to this point, look, everything this person has told me has been backed up by action related to the information. What I'm hearing now is that Ronald wants an extension. And what is interesting is that his current contract, he doesn't become an unrestricted free agent until his age 30, 31. I think his age 31 season would be the first year. So what is in it for the Braves to do that? Well, I would say a happy Ronald Acuna Jr. We're going to talk about Bo Bichette in a minute. Yeah. And look at what a happy Bo Bichette looks like. Yeah. You want a happy Ronald Acuna Jr. And if Ronald Acuna Jr. can get a $300 million contract because the Braves buy his 30s, which means $300 million for all of his age 30 seasons is a very reasonable contract with the dollars that are going around right now. So I think that that is something that is being pushed for, that there is actually more on this. There's less talk of trade. There's more talk of an extension, but there are certainly some hiccups to the extension. That being that the Braves are currently, they have a contract for the next 6 years with Ronald. There are two, and that includes two options. Now, I don't know. This is the one thing I wonder when I start to speculate about this. I start to wonder, to make Ronald happy, would the Braves turn those club option years into guaranteed years?
That's exactly what I was going to say, Jim.
Exactly. Turn those club options into guaranteed years at a higher rate to make Ronald happy. They don't have to do that.
Exactly.
But this is an organization at this point that is known for doing things they don't have to do.
You're right.
That they're doing.
You're right. They don't have to do it at all. And for people, just a reminder, that's in 2017 and 2018. Those are the two club options right at the end of his deal. Yeah. And you're right. They don't have to. But if it's going to cost an extra 10 million per year, just to make your superstar happy. Let's say Ronald Acuna Jr. is becoming the superstar and hitting his stride for the last 3 years. He wins an MVP in that time. I think there's absolute reason just to please him.
Yeah.
But if you look at it just pure financial standpoint, no, of course not. It doesn't make any sense. But I think you should. I think you should. I think that's what good teams do. And especially if you want him to stay beyond 2029, you gotta do it. I think so.
He is the kind of talent where you make an exception.
Absolutely.
Right? He's the kind of talent where, if it's Vaughn Grissom or somebody of that degree, then you're gonna ride it out. You want to get through those years. But when it's Ronald Acuna Jr., a once in a generation talent, you make exceptions to that. So I did find it fascinating. I absolutely love that Ronald responded himself to that tweet to basically end, because it was getting out of control. The Ronald has demanded a trade was getting out of control. It was on my timelines. I'm sure it was on your timelines, and you're looking at you're tracking it back, and you're like, wait, it came from here. Why? I'm glad that Ronald put it to bed.
For now.
Right now.
We'll be back. I guarantee. We're going to be making more. Maybe a year. Maybe a two.
Yep.
We'll be back.
Exactly. So we had some more news today. Well, the Ronald news is sort of over the last 48 hours or so. But today we actually had a free agent signing. Michael Wacha, one of the remaining high-profile-ish free agents, in agreement per sources with the San Diego Padres. Now, the details on this are pretty limited, but your feelings on this, Adam, on Michael Wacha to the Padres, this makes sense. This was a team that kind of needed pitching, right?
Yeah, they need it, especially starting pitching. Like, look, their top three, love it. Blake Snell having a great year last year. Darvish, of course, having a great year. Also got an extension, by the way. Love that deal.
Yeah.
Joe Musgrove, we know how amazing he's been the last few years. And then there's a drop-off, right? You lost some pitchers in this offseason, and now you have relief pitchers. I know that they had one guy, Martinez. I believe it's Martinez. Nick Martinez. He started a couple games in his career, a few games, but still known as a majority of his career as a bullpen arm. You got Seth Lugo in there, bullpen arm. These guys aren't starters, so there's a huge question mark. And I know as a Blue Jay fan, I'm going into the season with three really solid, almost superstar, Alek Manoah for sure superstar, rotational arms. Then you got some question marks. So Jose Barrios got some question marks with Yusei Kikuchi and friends. But with them, it's even more because you have literal bullpen pieces, and their bullpen's good. But how much is that depth going to be tested if they just continue with that rotation? So this gives them more innings, gives them more length, makes that bullpen a little bit more rested in a situation or alternate reality without Michael Wacha. And Michael Wacha had a great season last year, so I love it for the Padres if they want to make a deep run, which they're going to have to push for this year.
I really like the move. I think that this is probably, once we get all the details, it's probably going to be a low risk, high reward situation. And the depth that it creates for everything that you just talked about is extremely valuable in itself, because after Martinez and after Lugo in that 4 or 5 spot, you're going to start counting on guys that don't have a ton of innings. Don't have a ton of innings, period. Don't have a ton of innings as a starter at the major league level. And Michael Wacha will fill that in. You may get into a spot where Nick Martinez and Seth Lugo, great in the rotation, fine. Or maybe you go with a 6-man rotation in that instance, or Lugo or Martinez are struggling and you want them in the bullpen to add depth to the bullpen. I think it is just all around. It's a very, very smart move by the Padres, and one that I think will help them moving forward as they get through their season.
You need innings. They just bought a bunch of innings right here. And I like that analysis. Low risk, high reward.
I think it will be. Want to remind everybody, if you have not yet, to subscribe to our channels and hit that like. Let's get over the next milestone. I got to get over. I'm like on the verge of 50 likes. Would love to jump up and see how close to 100 likes we can get as we are getting. If you're excited, if you're pumped up for training, if you're pumped up for baseball returning, make sure to hit that like. As a side note, we're going to talk about this in a minute, I think. Is this the most interesting spring training we've had ever? I'm going to let that sit for a minute. I want you to think about that for a minute. We're going to talk about the rules. We're not going to talk about the rules yet, but I think that adds something to everything else. But I want to get into this with you. I want to talk about the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Bo Bichette. I want to talk about extension season, which is apparently here.
Yeah.
Bo, Darvish, Christain, Javier, all getting extensions, and specifically Bo, man doesn't like the arbitration process, so just remove the arbitration process from the equation. Talk a little bit about Bo and that extension.
I love it, man. And you heard Bo Bichette's comments this week talking about how the whole process itself, the arbitration process, is flawed. Yep. Look, you're trying to work together as an organization and as a player. You want to work together and build a relationship. What's the quickest way to destroy a relationship?
Arbitration hearing.
Arbitrations. You're trying to convince a third party why your quote-unquote teammate, let's call them teammates because they're working together, why your teammate is bad. that is the word. Why they deserve less money. Oh, because they haven't done enough of this. Oh, because they haven't done that. Bo's committed this many errors. Even though he's led hits, we don't like the strikeouts. That's horrible. What Bo Bichette said, and for all those who missed it, he said it was a flawed process. He's happy that him and the Toronto Blue Jays decided not to go through with the arbitration hearings, and they came to an agreement, and he could focus on baseball. And I remember, not exactly quote word for word, but he did say that he's happy that he can shift his focus from that over to baseball. And when that happens, good things happen on the field. So I'm glad. What about you, Jim? I know you like the Blue Jays. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's just, I mean, I watched the interview. I actually watched the interview for the first time 20 minutes before we hopped on here. So it's fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
And the takeaway I had, other than his words, was the body language, was his facial expressions. He looked happy, and that's what you want. You want a happy baseball player. One of the reasons why the Braves, why it makes sense to lock up Acuna to an extension. It is why if you're the Astros, Christain Javier might not be the stopping point for their extensions. If you can have a happy baseball player, a guy focused on baseball and not distracted by the money or the arbitration or coming out of a grueling hearing where, like you said, the organization is telling the player where he still stinks and for that reason shouldn't be paid the extra couple $1,000s. I really do. I think that it is a great way to start 2023 for Bo Bichette after what turned into a very tumultuous offseason for him.
I know.
Where the fan base was all of a sudden ready to trade him, ready to move him to second base, talking about how much better they'll be without him.
Can we just clear this up right here, guys? Look, I know. I'll entertain the idea of moving Bo to second base if he doesn't improve. I think we can all agree that that's probably the smarter move, especially if there's a threatening, better shortstop in the wings. But trading Bo Bichette is just not in the future plans of Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro. You're not going to trade a cornerstone of your franchise, and especially not now. I mean, you have established a good rapport and relationship, and there's no drama. Like we're talking about Ronald Acuna Jr., you don't trade superstars away unless there's a severe heavy beef. There ain't no severe heavy beef, guys. Bo Bichette's going to be a Blue Jay for the next 3 years, and I don't see reality where there is a reality in a very small percentage where the Blue Jays are absolutely garbage and we're losing. We have won 60 games. I don't think it's going to happen, though.
Right.
In that reality, he probably is smart to trade him by the end, but it ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen, folks. His team's too talented, so I'm glad we can move on and focus on maybe a Vlad extension.
Yeah, get that done, please. Extension season isn't over. Ross and then everybody. Let's get it done. They're still talking about Machado could get an extension with San Diego. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Let me ask you about the name we have on the screen here. We have Bo, we have Darvish, and we have Christian Javier. And I don't mean to skip over Darvish, but I think Christian Javier, that situation presents an interesting, quick discussion here. Yeah. Because the new Houston Nationals general manager is Dana Brown. Dana Brown, for the last 3 years, was the VP of scouting for the Atlanta Braves. And what are the Braves known for? They're known for doing exactly what Dana Brown just did with Christian Javier. Do you foresee a Framber Valdez, a Kyle Tucker, a Jeremy Pena? Do you foresee more extensions coming from the Houston Astros?
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, I think when a lot of organizations look over at the Atlanta Braves and see what they're doing, it makes a lot of sense. You got to kind of copy the formula, because whatever contract you give them now is going to look amazing. Hopefully, if they're still talented and they will still be young, it's going to look amazing in 6-5 years or whatever the length of the deal is. First of all, love the Javier extension. I look at this guy's baseball savant. I look at his baseball reference. There's nothing not to like about Christian Javier. But then you got Framber Valdez. And did you hear about the Framber Valdez kind of rumors that, there was maybe an extension happening? But his agent has come out and said that, no, there's not any rumors actually happening of an extension. As of yet, there hasn't been any discussion. And no numbers discussed at all. I think there was numbers thrown out there about 150 million. That has not been discussed. But to your point, Jim, I wouldn't be surprised in a year or two. Look, they're so young and they got so much time left. They're just reaching their arbitration years. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the next steps of the Houston Astros.
Yeah, I think that is going to be. I can't see Framber Valdez reaching free agency. It's not going to happen. Valdez is not reaching free agency. Kyle Tucker's not reaching free agency. They will lock those players up.
They already started
Luis Garcia is not going to reach free agency. Nope. I mean, it's Hunter Brown is not going to reach free agency. They're going to lock with Dana Brown as the new general manager there in Houston, with his experience with just drinking the Kool-Aid from the guy there, Alex Anthopoulos. They're going to lock these guys up. So if you don't like the Houston Astros, it's not going to get any better. We'll just put it that way.
Imagine that. The best team in baseball for the last 5 years now adopts another new, I guess you want to say, theory or strategy.
A new philosophy.
A new philosophy, thank you, to make their team even better for longer. Incredible. They're going to be here forever, guys.
It really is. I mean, say what you will about 2017. Let's move on from that.
We'll move on.
Right now, there's a different general manager. There's a different manager. There is, outside of a handful of players, it's a whole new team. From a baseball standpoint, from a philosophy standpoint, from an execution standpoint, from everything that they do, it's one of the 3 blueprints. It's what it's become, right? Atlanta is a blueprint. Tampa is a blueprint. And Houston is a blueprint on how to build a team, how to keep winning. So you got to give Houston their credit.
Agreed.
Let me bring this up to you. I teased it a minute ago. Are we heading into the ultimate spring training? Here's what I mean by that. We had a obscene amount of players moving around this last offseason, and there's a lot of interest in Trey Turner putting on a Philly uniform and actually playing a game, and on down the list. Dansby Swanson, Carlos Rodon, Jacob deGrom, Justin Verlander, marquee names, marquee faces in new places. That's always there, right? We also have a really exciting crop of prospects that are coming with Ellie De La Cruz and Jordan Walker, Grayson Rodriguez, Ricky Tiedemann, that we will see in spring training get some good run. Not guys that are going to be up for the first week and then gone. Guys that are going to get some good run because they will have an impact this season. And the new rules, the bigger bases, which I think I think everybody that's down in Florida right now has taken a picture of a side-by-side of the bases. You've
Yeah.
got the pitch clock, you've got the pickoffs, you've got the ban, the shift ban. What are you most looking forward to? Is it any of the new rules? Is
Yeah.
it new play? Dalton Varsho,
Right,
the
right.
Blue Jays account tweeted out a picture of Dalton in Jays gear today.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to? Is it players? Is it seeing how some of these rules work out? Talk to me about that. What do you think?
I definitely want to answer that question, Jimmy, but I also want to make a comment just on where baseball is heading. And we're starting to see the positive effects of these changes, not even only with the rules, but with the playoff format setting. Now you have more teams buying in, more players flying around to new places, and more teams getting competitive. So it's more interesting. So when you're commenting about all these new players going all these new places and all these new prospects coming up to help teams that could potentially get in to the playoffs, I think that you're seeing the results of an excellent rule change that happened in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But what am I most excited for? I got to be most excited for these rule changes. And in particular, I am excited for the pitch clock. We keep talking. I don't know about you. You've done a lot of talking. I'm sure you've talked about this a bunch. Players, how what are they projected to do? Can they bounce back? All these sort of things, especially pitchers. I think they're going to be affected heavily by the pitch clock. I mean, let's just refresher on the rules right here. They have 15 seconds when the bases are empty. I think Alek Manoah last year, if I'm not mistaken, was averaging between, I checked at one point last year, like 24 and 25 seconds per pitch.
Yeah.
That's Alek Manoah. And he's very comfortable, and he's doing really well during that 24 to 25 second range. What's going to happen when he has to speed up by 10 seconds? I hope good things, of course.
Yeah.
Is that going to throw him off? Or people like Yusei Kikuchi, who he took a long time in between pitches, very similar to Alek Manoah, is that going to make him do better? So that's something that I'm going to be looking forward to in spring training. How is this going to affect the pace of the game? Is it going to cause batters to stay in more of the rhythm? Is it going to cause them to fall out of a rhythm? We're going to see individual players change based on the way that they have prepped for these new rule changes. That's me. What about you, Jim? What about you? What are your thoughts?
About the pitch clock, I have to think that we're going to see – I got to think we're going to see some of these velocities come down.
Yeah.
Because the max effort that it takes, you have seen the velocities go up. Everyone comes out of the bullpen throwing 100 miles an hour.
Right.
And as it is, starters generally will throw the ball not to the same degree in terms of velocity than relievers will, right? Unless you're I want to call him Hunter Brown. That's not his name. Who's the Cincinnati starter that averages 100 miles an hour? Why can't I think of his name right now?
I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
God,
Hunter Green.
Hunter Green. There we go. I knew it was a Hunter. So I think that you will see, I think you'll see some velocities come down, because if you have to turn another pitch around every 15 seconds and you needed those 20 seconds to just sort of like get ready again to throw
get that stamina back.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you can maybe see some velocities come down, which we'll see how that impacts the game as well. I think there are a lot of people worried about arms and worried about injuries. So we'll kind of see that. But I mean, what were we looking at? We were looking at 25 minutes on average saved at the AAA level. So you have a lot of pitchers that came up last year through the minors and experienced the pitch clock. So they have some experience with it. And this is just something that I think there'll probably be some growing pains, but we'll get adapted to it. I'm looking forward to, I mean, really, the pitch clock is very interesting to me. The ban on the shift is interesting to me, to see how certain players, how the numbers change. Corey Seager's one of the players that could see a big improvement year over year. So I'm interested to see that. And I think it's probably, it's neck and neck between those two elements.
I like the shift too. I mean, I think about, you mentioned Varsho, big pull guy, obviously big pull to right field. How is that going to impact the game? Is his batting average going to go up? Even a more obvious example in MLB, Joey Gallo.
Right.
how is he going to fare in Minnesota without the shift? He obviously is going to be benefiting of that. Like, I think it's cool. I like it.
I'm very interested in the Dalton Varsho case because Dalton Varsho was one of those lefties last year that actually was not shifted against to the nth degree.
Right.
I would say he was shifted somewhere around 50%.
Okay.
And you had other players that were shifted against almost every time. And I looked into that. What I found was that, and I got to go back. I'm working on a project. I basically have been waiting for the interest in baseball to return to put this project up. But he just was not hitting the ball hard enough to where you had to shift against him. And you got to go look at his metrics. You got to go look at, the spray charts and everything. I'm interested to see how he does without the shift. But at the same time, he was not one of the players that was shifted to an extreme degree.
Right.
And for that, I start wondering, well, why? And I think it is the exit velocity not hitting the ball hard enough to where you need to have the shortstop in shallow right field,
right?
Or however they were, you want to position your infielders and who's in shallow right. So he's one of the players I'm interested in watching just to see if there's any impact at all, or if he just continues on his current pace. A lot of these guys go up there figuring they need to hit it over the defense because they can't hit it past the defense. Is he going to have a different approach? It's all going to be, and that's why I'm like this. That's why I'm referring to this as the ultimate spring training. Okay, but maybe not. But one of the most intriguing spring trainings that we've had ever.
Yeah, ever. I'm watching. I mean, I feel like compared to last year, I mean, most of the time you're watching just because, who are the new players? Are they going to do well? But now you have that and this whole element of the rule change. So
yeah,
I'm all for it. I'm excited for a lot. There's gonna be a lot of content on that. I know, just from a content standpoint, man, are we gonna have a lot to talk about?
Yes. So it is gonna be fun. I can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to getting some games going. I think we're about a week away from that. And
about a week and a half. Yeah.
Between now and then, like you said, it's players playing catch. It's the sound of the glove. It's the sound of the cleats in the dirt. It's everything on your Twitter and Instagram feeds that just kind of bring baseball back.
Did you get the smell of dirt and grass when you were going through Twitter?
What's that?
Me? I got this throwback memory of me, the smell of when mud is wet, the snow's melted and it's you could smell the earth. I smelt that watching all those videos.
Yeah, you can smell spring almost.
Yeah.
When you see that stuff.
Yeah.
It is going to be fun. It is going to be something that we can't wait for.
Yeah.
Gotta remind everybody, if you have not yet, to hit that like. Try to get both of these streams up to 100 likes. If you haven't used your like yet, please do it now. And subscribe if you have not yet, and turn those alerts on Tuesdays at 8:30. That's our thing. Make sure to make an appointment to be back here next Tuesday as we do it all over again. We are going to be ending this one usually about 10 to 15 minutes earlier than usual. I have sort of a hard-ish stop here at 9 o'clock, and we are at 9:06. So I got to wind it down. Adam, any parting thoughts?
I'm excited, guys. Last couple weeks has been it's been slow, but I feel like people are starting to creep back in. All the Twitter stuff is starting to get people interested again. I'm excited to go live for watching some games. Can't wait, man. I'm definitely catching the baseball bug after the Super Bowl has ended. So let's go. I'm gonna throw this in there. I know people have probably already left by now, but I'm gonna throw it in there. Dulcimeris asked a question. Thoughts on the extra innings ghost runner? I have a very quick answer for that. I don't like it. I don't like it. I have not liked it at all. I love it.
You love it? Here's why I don't like it. I don't like it because I want skill to win out more times than luck. I know luck is a part of the game. Luck is going to win out. But when you start with the runner on second for free, the chance that luck wins out increases. I want skill to win out more than I want luck. And what do I mean by that? I said this was going to be short. Now it's turning into a long thing. I will try to land the plane as soon as I can here. I promise.
Yeah.
So what do I mean by luck? Well, you could easily, we still have umpires making bad calls behind the plate, right? So you could find yourself in a bad count, and all of a sudden you have runners on first and second, and you didn't even have to try. You can see an error. You can see a ball get bobbled. All of a sudden you have runners on the corners. Or if the ball gets hit into right field and it gets kicked by the right fielder, that runner from second can score. And it already down, or the game is over. Whereas if you were in a world where it is bases empty to start the inning, and that same bobble or kick happens in right field, no, really, for the most part, no harm, no foul. You're still going to have the runner on first. So for that reason, that's the only reason I don't like it. I like that the games get over quicker. I like that we don't go 20-inning marathon games, but I don't like, I understand luck is a part of the game. Luck is going to sometimes win out, but I want skill to win out more times than luck does. And I feel like luck gets too much weight in the extra innings when you start with a runner on second.
I hear you. Luck is definitely a factor. I will say, I mean, we are forgetting both teams having a chance to get lucky in the top and the bottom half. They both have a chance to get lucky. But for me, again, I love it because it's shorter. And until someone can propose a better, more skillful way to end the game, like a home run derby or whatever it might be. Yeah, like a quick home run derby, 5 pitches.
I want it. I want you to pick your 5 guys and go out there. Everybody gets 1 pitch. It's basically like a hockey shootout or a soccer shootout. You pick 5 guys, they each get 1 pitch, and you see how many home runs you can hit. And if nobody hits a home run, go back to the top, and the first team that hits a home run, game over. I want the All-Star game. Yeah, I want the All-Star game to have that.
That'd be hilarious. Okay, until that becomes a rule, we're stuck with the Ghost Runner, folks.
That's right. We are. All right, everybody. That is going to do it for this one. Again, make sure to hit the like on the way out. Subscribe if you have not yet. We do appreciate you coming in and spending some time with us. We will be back next Tuesday to do this all again. Spending time with you, hanging out on a Tuesday night, talking everything that's going on. We're getting into spring training. We're going to get more into some season preview stuff. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you're looking forward to it as well, Adam. Guys, have a good night, everybody. We'll catch you guys next time.